Oh, why are you there? Hey, everybody. Welcome to We Are Here Now. As you can see, we are missing Amanda this week running things behind the scenes. So I will be running things, which means you're going to have to bear with a lot of technical comedy. We are an evolving collaborative community talk show that may change over time, but will always focus on topics to start conversations and inspire insights. This show is focused on exploring how students are navigating the world using concepts from the Michael teachings. I'm Troy. My pronouns are he, they. I'm a servercast sage from Cadre 1, Entity 2, a 6th-level old soul, and your TruthLoveEnergy host and the channel for the resident channel for the Michael teachings, or for the Michael entity. For more information on anything or anyone in this video, see the description in the final video post for links. Now, let's get the show started with our lovely panel. So here is Bobby.
You doing all right there?
I will. I'll get through it. My Medusa hair is going to help me.
Hey, everybody. Bobby's back. I'm a servercast artisan from C2E2.
And Ro.
Hello, so happy to be here again. My name is Ro. I am an artisan cast priest and from Cadre 2 and Entity 7.
And Connor.
Hello, TLE. I'm Connor.
Yay!
I am a scholar cast sage from Cadre 1 Entity 2. My pronouns are he, him for now.
Ooh.
A little foreshadowing.
And the surprise has been spoiled. Oops, there's a little bit of echo. There's from I think Connor. The surprise was spoiled by my technical ineptitude, but we have a special guest panelist because we're missing Kate this week. And today we have ta-da!
Hi! Surprise, not surprise. I'm Cypress. I'm from Cadre 1, Entity 2, same as Troy. And I am a sage cast sage.
The best entity.
That's right. And my pronouns are she and her.
She's always just needling her way into other people's business, you know.
That is what I do.
All right. So as you all know, this series continues to change and adapt and grow to accommodate our experiences with the show. So this segment that used to be called Where Are We Now? Is now called What's Good? This is our way of helping each other remember to nurture and focus on what's good in life. And I have not updated the transition, but here. Okay, we all know what's bad in the world. So let's share what's good. What made you happy, revealed beauty, made you laugh, or nurtured your wellness this past month? Who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
We all have to do laundry. And during the pandemic, laundry has just become a chore. Like, it is a chore, of course, but it reverted back to just being a chore because pre-pandemic, I had a laundry buddy.
Aww.
And during the pandemic, when we had to socially distance ourselves from the world around us, I went to just doing my and Troy's laundry just by myself, and it just sort of went back to being a weekend chore. And just recently, Cypress and I have reinvigorated our laundry weekend routine. And It just feels so good to connect back to something that we used to do, and something that I used to always look forward to the weekends where Cypress and I could just sort of debrief on our weeks, vent to each other, talk about shows, talk about pop culture, whatever. And it was just sort of a way to just sort of re-energize and to bond, obviously. And in the recent weeks, we've been able to kickstart that up again, and it feels so good to just have a little bit of that old life back in. So.
It does.
Yeah, and so I wanted to remind the viewers who are watching, you're welcome to share anything that you consider that's been good for you as well, and we'll save that and bring it up during the viewer Q&A section. But Ro, what's been going on for you?
Okay. Well, this month I went back to writing my novel. I'm writing a novel about spirituality and fantasy, and it has been a very enjoyable process. So it can be difficult at times, but yeah, I love being creative. Creativity is my healing sanctuary. And yesterday I had this beautiful conversation with Christina Pedersen, who is another Michael student. We did a live stream about art, healing, and sexuality, which was super, awesome and interesting. We received lots of questions, and we were able to share these perspectives, holistic perspectives on sex, intimacy, and all that. Mm-hmm.
What's the novel about?
Oh, it's a secret. I can't spoil you anything.
Oh my goodness.
Intrigue already.
I saw the promo for that conversation you were going to have, and I wanted to go to it. I don't know what. I mean, I guess I missed any reminders. I don't know if the reminder gets sent for those or not. I'm curious about that book. I think I will like it.
Oh, thank you, Lou.
You've got your first fan, Ro.
What were you saying, Ro?
Oh, yes. By the way, the live stream is up on my YouTube channel for those who would like to watch it. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, at least I won't miss out on that. Cypress.
Well, besides the exciting adventures in laundry that I have with Bobby, which has been really lovely, I really do miss having that connection. And it's like our time, it's just us, and Troy's usually not involved.
Never allowed. Third wheel.
Not at all.
I have no friends.
That's none of those things are true. But it is nice for Bobby and I to have our own thing together that's just us. So it was always our way of like getting to know each other. Back when Troy and Bobby first started dating, and then they moved down the street, it was something that kind of developed, and it really has been lovely to get back to that. And I've also been doing some planting. It's something that I really love doing, and taking care of plants has getting my hands in the dirt, and well, I mean pots inside, not outdoor gardening. That's not for me with bugs and things. But inside, I really love that. There's this really good feeling when you put your hands in soil for some reason. The soil itself feels like it's healing and energizing, and you're caring for something that's outside of yourself, but it cares for you by giving you oxygen. And it just feels like there's something so splendid and lovely about it. And I've really enjoyed it, and it's really rekindled that want. And now I'm like, oh, I need more plants.
That reminds me of Jeroen's been doing a lot of posting about his gardening and planting, and has been promoting these indoor gardens, hydroponic gardens. I really want to get one of those because of what you're saying, Cypress. I just think adding that much life to your space is really good.
Yeah, and it's such a great exchange, it feels like.
Yeah. Bobby, would you share Maureen's comment?
I was about to do that. So Maureen,
great minds.
So Troy, maybe you thought it was weird when I asked you about how Bobby and Cypress were doing laundry, but what Bobby said, this is what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's been really nice that they've been getting back together, and it means I get drive-by love because Cypress will sometimes swing by, and I get the scraps and stuff thrown to me that are left over.
They're so ridiculous.
Connor, what's good for you?
Well, I got a Plantagenet flag. Right behind me. Here, let's put it in the front.
Yeah.
Are those like your family crests?
If I was the King of England and France, yes.
Oh, maybe you were.
I am going to be bringing this. I'm going to make it into a flag. and gonna bring it to the Renaissance Fair.
Oh, wait, when's that?
It's ongoing. The
Oh, okay.
Pennsylvania one, that is, between like August through the end of October.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's a Tudor affair. Like Elizabeth I is the queen,
Wow.
and the flag I just got is a Plantagenet flag, and the Plantagenets are the ruling family of England that were deposed by the Tudors. So it's high treason
Oh,
at the
the
Renaissance
Lancasters send their regards.
Oh yeah, that's one branch. That's one branch. Plantagenet family, not the senior branch, but still.
So what makes it good? What makes that good?
Well, because it was a shitty month, and it makes me excited about something.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's what matters.
Yep.
I have, and I also learned what Plantagenet was. I didn't know what that was. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
I always think I know so much, and then I meet people and realize I don't.
Yeah, the 1100s through the 1400s, the rulers of England.
Oh.
Maybe you'll see Moonfeather there, Connor.
Ooh.
Ooh, 1 week, off by a week. We're going to be going on the 16th.
Damn.
It'll be Saturday the 16th. It's where I get my honey mead.
Well,
and the food is good.
Here's what's been good for me. I've shared a little bit about this because I kind of wanted to just be vulnerable with it, but also I was kind of proud of it because I'm trying to learn new things. That's what's been good for me is I'm trying to learn new things that I don't make time for. And one of those is another language. So I'm trying to learn Spanish as my priority because I live in very Spanish language neighborhoods a lot of times in New York City, and I should have learned by now. So I'm trying to do that. But I'm also trying to focus on art like Ro, because that satisfies this part of me that's, a little artistic.
A little? No. Like, super artistic, like...
So I have been, I'm working really hard on expanding TLE into virtual reality. Mm-hmm. And that might seem silly, but I've always been an early adopter of technology and virtual spaces. And that's why we exist as TruthLoveEnergy online now, because I've envisioned this beautiful space that became TLE. Oh, I don't know if you can hear the background noises, but I apologize if you hear the traffic. But I envision this virtual space online before virtual reality, because and even when a lot of you probably don't know this, but I know some of you remember like how much resistance there was to it. Like anything outside of an email list was just considered dangerous and scary. And creating communities online and getting people to register. Oh my God, that we were going to be all taken advantage of and exploited, and it was terrifying. And there were literally whole meetings about it, like the dangers of it. And I was like, just be smart. I mean, just don't do dumb things, and let's create a community. And anyway, so virtual reality is the next space where TLE is going, or it'll just expand into that. So somebody's building this virtual world that'll be specifically for Truth Love Energy, and we'll all go in there for all kinds of different things. But I wanted to be a part of it. I don't know how to build the worlds. I haven't learned that, but I can build little things to put in it. And so I have been learning something called Tilt Brush, which can create 3-dimensional art and then have it exported into the worlds that we're building for TLE. So here's a little trailer to show you what Tilt Brush is. It is amazing. And see what you think of this. And then I'm going to show you what I've been creating. Hopefully you can hear this.
I'm going to cry, Troy. This is the future.
Wait, you can't hear it. Oh, there we go.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
Amazing. I love it. Like, oh my God, the possibilities.
I love that so much. So I wanted to. There's this huge landscape being built for TLE, and it's like an island, and it'll go in two different directions. One's going to be for like fun and like magical events, and one's going to be for like study and like presentations and channeling events. But there's going to be this little meditation area, and so I've been trying to design meditation chairs for that will be set up for everybody's little avatars to get into and like do little meditations, and Ro can hold a class there or something.
Oh.
But here's the little seats that I've been working on. They're not done. This is a prototype, but I think they're looking really cute.
Oh.
So
I feel like a fairy, you know, I want to be there already.
so I created those, and there's going to be like one for each role. I really like that.
Ooh, nice.
And then in addition to that, I've been practicing. I've been doing little gift creations for different people. So I created this pot of flowers for my friend in Egypt who's not surrounded by a lot of lush life. It's a lot of desert. So I created a pot of flowers for him, and I thought it was really pretty.
Aw, that is pretty.
Wait, it didn't start from the beginning.
Oh,
Let's
there we
try
go.
that again. Look at that. They're little glass flowers, and his favorite color is blue. So I created these little. His name's Hoda. Anyway, that's been what's good for me is opening up to these different ways of creating that were never possible before, and I think it's so fun.
That's
So
wonderful.
that's what's good. Well, anything anybody has that's good for them in the viewers, please share. We'll bring it up during the viewer Q&A. But now let's move on to our sparkles. Let's move on to our. I got to do this slowly so I can do it right. To our student spotlight. So I'll see you all after student spotlight, everybody. Hold on. There we go. Hey, Diane, welcome. Let me introduce you. I forgot to do this before to the transition. Diane is an old servercast king whose life could be described as adventures through self-discovery, having been a writer, energy healer, stock trader, accountant, and now writer again. She currently runs her own accounting practice and writes a blog sharing her insights into healing personal challenges. In her spare time, she enjoys making art, reading self-help books, and studying plant-based nutrition. Welcome, Diane. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thanks for having
I
me.
thought you were never going to do this. They were so elusive. And I was like, when Danila told me she got you, I was like, what?
You got me between my traveling trips. I'm leaving town next week again.
I was so grateful. Thank you, Danila, for getting Diane on here. So first, what's your role? Oh, we already did your role casting. Did we get
My
entity?
pronouns are she, her.
Oh, okay. Cadre and entity?
Cadre 2, entity 1.
Okay. So let's start with what we always start with on the student spotlight. This is when and how did you discover the Michael teachings?
I found Michael teachings in 2006 online, and I was really new to channel teachings back then, and I was reading this. I got into it from reading Abraham, and then I got into this channel teaching called the Right Use of Will. It's pretty obscure, but I think it was probably popular in the 80s or something.
Yeah, I remember that title.
The first book was good, and then it was a series. And the second book on started to really confuse me because at the time I was still thinking like channeling was like taking dictation, and the second book on had this whole origin story, and I was like, is this real or what? So I decided to go online and search for reviews of the books, and I found a channeling from Shepherd of Michael commenting on questions about the series. And I read it and I was like, I really like this grounded voice. And and it was really different from other channelings I've read. And they used the word mindfuck, which I didn't know that was a term back then. I thought they were swearing. And I was like, oh, right. And I want to know who this is. So I kept reading and I found the Michael Teachings website, michaelteachings.com website from there, and I never left.
Wow. That was 2006?
2006.
Wow. So I really kind of dove back into building community in 2007. So that's timing was really close to.
Yeah, I found you about a year later.
So I think you have been a part of Truth Love Energy since almost from the start of.
Yeah, and I was on the Yahoo mailing list, yours, for a while before I signed on to TLE. And I remember you telling, like, I remember when you went to Amsterdam and it, almost died.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so you were there when I was like, I was struggling, just living life and bouncing all around and still doing Michael stuff. But it wasn't until after Amsterdam that I really focused on it. So you were there before it all became more
a little
formal.
bit before.
Yeah. Wow. So that answers my questions. When and how did we meet? But wait, how did you and I meet? Just through those lists?
We
because I remember.
I mean, in person.
Met. Yes, I remember.
Yeah, that was 2013.
Yes.
When we went to the East Coast gathering.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that day. You were such an interesting person to me because you just were so stoic, but at the same time so alive. It was so confusing to me and so mysterious and intriguing, and we all loved you like immediately. And do you remember that everything was all calm and everything during that time, before and after? And then when we were all saying goodbye, that was when
we started bawling at the same time.
I know, and it was like, what is happening here? What is happening? This is going to tie into the topic today, I think.
Yeah, I think that was essence recognition or essence contact.
So your blog, I want to put a link to it in the final description for our public posting of this show. But your blog is beloved by many in the community, and you describe it as insights in healing personal challenges. So it made me want to ask you, what do you feel has been the greatest personal challenge as a theme? Like, is there an overall theme that you would describe your personal challenge?
Yeah, I feel like I've been like really shy and had a lot of social anxiety when I was younger, and it's been a real lifelong journey to heal from that. And I feel like that has a lot to do with what I share on my blog. And now I kind of understand it's this struggle between like who I was told to be or who I thought I should be versus who I am. And it's been a really long journey to figure out who I actually am, because I have neutral overleaves and I kind of slide all over the place. And so it was hard to figure out who I am. I don't actually have a strong personality, except, well, I do and I don't. It's kind of funny. And then the other struggle I've had was actually allowing myself to be seen as who I am. And that's the social anxiety part. And I feel like this whole writing journey, when I came back to writing about 3 years ago, I didn't realize until then that like how much I manage how other people see me. And it's like, okay, I with TLE friends and with my closest circle, I let them see who I actually am. But then like I manage how my non-TLE friends see me, like how much I share with them, or how much I share with my work colleagues and work friends, and how much I share with my family. So when I started writing, I couldn't control that anymore, because if I'm sharing myself in my writing, then it's like it's out there. It's everybody can see it. I don't get to control who sees me anymore, and that was like really intense to work through.
When you were describing yourself as having these neutral overleaves and trying to just discover who you are or figure out who you are, did it ever land where that's just who you are? Like it's never going to be something that's a solid thing, that it's always going to be like different facets that you turn to and wherever your interests take you or whatever? Like
I'm starting to accept that, like, because I feel like our culture, just in terms of work, we always think we have this passion that we can figure out, and then we pursue that passion for the rest of our lives, and that's never worked for me like that.
Right.
Like I always had different passions, and I focus on different things at different parts of my life, or different times of my life.
Are you figuring out that how to make those, like, instead of them being something that's leave one behind to focus on another, you can juggle them? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, that's what I started learning when I came back to writing and art, which was what I did as a kid and as a teenager and young. Like I did that, and my college degree was in English and writing, and then I just left it until the last 3 years.
There's so much truth to who we are as children.
Yeah.
It's always good to look back there and see.
Yeah.
So does working with Michael and the teaching inform a lot of your writing and your processing?
Oh, definitely. I feel like I feel like my writing is like all my conversations with Michael over the years put into my own words and expressed through my own experiences. So it's like a lot of it is, if Michael students read my work, my writing, they would recognize a lot of Michael's, like, not Michael's words, but the feel of Michael's insights. But I always want it to be true to me. Like I want them to be my words. So they are also like me taking Michael's insights and living with them and using them, and then I write about how I understand them through my own experiences.
Well, that's what I've always liked about the Michael teachings, is because it feels like they're reminding you of they're telling you what you already know and helping you find the terminology for it, for you to give better clarity to your own voice. And that sounds like what you're doing, because there's a lot of people who take the Michael teachings and live them and then share what they've learned from that. And I love that. Ro is somebody who I feel like it brings that to the public in a way that they would never ever access, because it's Ro's teaching.
Yeah.
Even though Ro's finds Michael to be Ro's teacher, or one of them, and BTS the other. I see her in the green room. But you give voice to it from your own experiences, and that's what I really love about your blog too, because I don't look at it and say, oh, this is the Michael teachings, I'm a channel, so I don't need to read this. I learn from your blog, and I love reading it all the time. It kind of loops back to me in a way that lets me hear it as a person instead of as a person who's channeling. So I really appreciate your blog, and I love that it's getting more. Yeah, I'm glad that more people are reading it too.
Thank you.
So if you haven't checked out Diane's blog, we'll make sure you have a link to it in the description. And
it's at soul2world.com.
Oh, that's easy too.
That's easy.
soul2world.com. Thanks, Diane. All right, well, we're going to move on to our topic talk. Would you stick around for our panel?
Yes.
All right. Be right back. Okay, let's see if I can do this. So our topic talks are designed to be conversation starters and ignite discussion and thoughts that go beyond this show. For today's topic, talk, we are exploring the concept of essence contact and essence recognition. In the Michael teachings, there is a concept described as essence contact. This is a concept that invites us to see each other beyond the limitations of who we appear to be, what we look like, how we behave, and regardless of expectations or whether expectations are fulfilled or failed. This is a concept that embraces the idea that we are a persistent consciousness that exists before, during, and after this life. This persistent consciousness is the true core of who we are that evolves across lifetimes, and more accurately described as our essence. In every lifetime, we have various opportunities to not only remember the vastness of our own essence, but we also have a chance to remember or recognize the essence of others. Here are some quotes directly from Michael on the subject, and as I read these, I invite the panel and viewers to consider when and how you may have experienced essence contact, both internally or with others. So first of all, here's a quote that helps define what essence contact and recognition are. Essence contact and recognition are not states to sustain, but to access. So this is not about walking around in blissful awe of everyone. It is about having access to that part of you that knows the part of him or her that is not confined to the immediate identity. Recognition often starts with being able to see, hear the innocence in another. If the innocence of another cannot be seen or heard, it is difficult to then manifest contact or recognition. Essence recognition is the capacity to see, hear, feel beyond all superficial barriers and defenses of another person, and recognizing this in that moment. Essence contact is when this is mutual, but it's not always recognized in that moment. And from a personal session, somebody asked, I think this is from Janet's session, would essence recognition be considered love? And Michael said, yes. Oh, yes. Because you are including. The entire point of essence recognition is the recognition of the existence, the core existence of another being, of your own. It is the only way to evolve. And because it is the only way to evolve, it is love. Because you cannot evolve if you are not expanding beyond where you are. And when you recognize the essence in another, it is an immediate expression of love, or the effort to love, and an effort to love. It is an immediate expression of love or effort to love, and an effort to love, and an immediate fuel for your evolution. That was a convoluted sentence I did not read in advance. So let me bring the panel back on, and we'll get some testimonies. So panel, let's start with essence recognition first, within. Do any of you have any memories or specific instances where you feel like you woke up and remembered yourself and recognized it at that moment? And did it happen all at once or over time? And who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Yeah.
Well, actually, mine definitely felt like it unraveled over time. You mentioned earlier about how you were as a child, and I think that I'm becoming more and more like I was when I was a child, the older I get, which I love. But after meeting you and starting to, delve into the Michael stuff, and it was like a process. We had our little weekly channeling sessions, and we were learning stuff all the time. And I feel like it was, I was learning all these meditation techniques, and it just kind of unraveled in this amazing way. And I think that once I started to reconnect, we had one session once about talking to yourself in the past to kind of help yourself and heal yourself. And I think that really made me so aware of all of the me's through time. That was pretty amazing to me.
So yours happened over time.
Yes.
And it had to do with recognizing your existence, your evolution over time. in this lifetime?
Yes, and which also kind of rolls, then like my whole concept is that it keeps rolling. Then it made me recognize like past lives and future lives and feeling connected to all of it in a larger way.
Yeah, there is something really beautiful about that when you take a moment to think back about yourself in the past when you might have needed you the most, and then thinking you back then may have felt that and you didn't know it then. So that means there may be a future you looking back at you now and giving you comfort. And it really kind of like this meta thing that happens that can provoke some recognition within. Is that kind of what it was?
Yes. I mean, we're a little more eloquent than I was a little
No,
excited
I was
about
just making sure I understood.
Yes,
I love that.
It's in, and like, you know, I mean, my job this lifetime is to remember all my other lifetimes. That's my job as me.
Oh.
And you are the one that told me that, FYI.
Don't ever cite that as, that means nothing to me.
But it feels very real to me. And so the concept of unraveling it that way and then having it expand into other lifetimes is what made it so impactful.
Connor, did you have a moment, or was it over time?
It was over time. I'm not sure when it happened. There are things that I remember turning 5, and my dad sitting next to me turns to me and asks, "How does it feel to be 5?" And I hadn't the faintest idea. It felt curiously similar to being 4. But it was the first time I had, I guess, turned my thoughts inward and, okay, how does it feel to be 5? How does it feel to be me?
Oh, wow.
So that's one of the earliest moments. There was years later leaving a toxic friend group and finding the friends who I still have today. That was one of the first times I suppose, went against the patterns that had naturally arisen just by me being where I was. I got in a fight once in 6th grade, or maybe it was 7th grade, and I don't remember why. Silly reasons. I don't remember why. It wasn't a good reason. And I was taking judo classes at the time, and I wanted to use my moves. It's the most basic way to abuse martial arts, and it didn't work. I got my ass kicked. My opponent was not wearing a proper judo gi, and the judo moves are hard when you're not wearing the right clothing. So it didn't go very well. But after a few punches, which all landed on me, I did not get any successful blows in. I was not good at fighting. I pulled the plug on the whole thing. I was like, all right, lesson learned. We're done here. We don't need to do this anymore. And that was a moment of taking charge in a way that I don't think I ever had before.
Wow, yeah.
And that's what led me to find the friends that I currently have, because I was very close to a specific friend of mine at the time who was there during the fight, watched it happen, did nothing to stop it. And I realized, that's not good.
This is making me wonder after I hear everybody's story, I'm wondering if there's something connected to those moments that become defining moments that get bigger for the way we relate to people, the way we navigate life. Just those single moments that we recognize our autonomy, our self as a being to care for and to make choices for and to be aware of. How we do that, I wonder if it affects, like, it perpetuates in other ways. Bobby, what, Connor?
Oh, no, that was it.
Oh. Bobby, what happened? Anything for you? Are you awake yet?
Yeah, I'm awake. Mine, I also feel like it happened over time. And I remember having certain thoughts or feelings around like ages 8, 9, 10. And back then I wouldn't have known what metaphysical was, what metaphysicality was, what, you know, thinking or you know, observing life from a higher purpose was. But I just remembered how my own brain translated it at the time. And I think I've told Troy the story before, but there was a part of me that always felt different from the rest of my family. And granted, that might have been some early awakenings about my sexuality. I'm sure that was tied in there. But there was a part of me that just felt, I'm not made up the same way that my family and everyone around me is made up. And I was always convinced that if I were to cut into my arm, like just chop my forearm off and look at my arm,
Oh no.
I would see all of this circuitry, and I would, and it's not because I thought I was a robot. Again, I think it was just my brain's way of translating my trying to come to grips with it. But it was just my brain's way of saying, as an 8-year-old, if you were to cut into yourself, you're not made up the same way the rest of the people around you are made up, or at least you're not experiencing this life the same way they are. And I distinctly remember having those kinds of self-dissection thoughts whenever my family would go to church. And it wasn't just related to church, but I never had a connection to religion and going to church on Sundays. I hated it. It felt so obligatory. And I think part of me was just processing all of that. Like, I just remember being with my family on those days, and I felt like I was looking at the moment from high up above, and they were just looking at the moment like with their 2 eyes staring straight ahead. And I think I think that was my early self saying, hey, there's more to everything in this life around you than what you're experiencing in the moment, and you're approaching this life very differently from the immediate loved ones in your family. And then later on, and a couple people are talking about this in the chat, about music. It was later on when I was in high school and I joined choir in high school. There were moments, so many moments throughout my choral music
Choir
life experiences where you're singing and you're amidst all of your peers and the other artists and the other singers. You're just transcending. Like you're not even aware of the physical moment of, well, I'm standing here beside 60 other people and I'm singing the music that's memorized. It's just coming out, whether you're conscious of it or not. You're just emoting, you're expressing at that point. And that kind of sensation, I felt like it wasn't completely me in control at that point. I was just tapping into something else and just going along for the ride. So it was those kinds of moments where it would just take me above, where I just felt like I was sort of thinking about my life from above, as opposed to just experiencing my life, through these 2 little eyeballs that I have. But I'm not a robot.
Well,
In theory.
Troy's convinced I have a robot heart, but I'm not a robot.
So listen, we're cutting it really close, so I'm really sorry. We'll have to push or be really short with Ro and Diane. But when did you, Ro, let's start with you. When did you wake up or feel like you were like waking up or aware of yourself in a way that was of essence?
Yes, I think, there were like glimpses through my childhood, especially when I was like in those moments of contemplations in nature where I felt like I was part of everything and life was flowing through me and I was very in sync with other people around me. And also remember that I read this, my mom bought the book, The Secret, that, it has like a bad rap, but to me, it opened like these world of possibilities that I had the power of choice and the power to shape my reality, which was for me super powerful. I was like 9 or 10. And yeah, it helped me a lot through school, because middle school, high school was like super chaotic, especially for, I think, an old soul with creative inclinations, with a very fluid way of being. So that helped me a lot. And also the book around that same time, the Silver Cord by Lobsam Rampa, which was also about astral projection and spirituality, which was like, wow, amazing. And I practiced the exercises, at night, going to bed. Like that was my motivation before going to school. I was like in the dream world, just connecting to spirit and seeing, if I could like project myself out there. And yeah, it was so good, that part of me. And of course, later through my mid-teens, I kind of forgot that. But and I got depression because I was feeling like so apart from the world and disconnected from people, and just so disappointed with capitalism, and thinking that I have to like choose some kind of job for all my life, and become this perhaps a mother, or do the same things that other people in my culture, and also university and everything. And I got like that depression, but then I started meditating and doing breathing exercises and connecting more again to my essence, and I felt this huge shift in me that was like, oh, I came back home. I came back to my essence, and that was also
Yeah.
after my 4 internal monad, according to Michael. And yeah, that's my
Oh.
story.
And Diane?
For me, I mean, it was mostly gradually over time, but I can think of like one moment when I was in my like early 20s, or maybe 20 years old, when I read the book Conversations with God, which is like not Christian. I actually thought, I saw the book and I thought it was Christian for like years, except it was in the New Age section. And reading that, it was like I laughed and cried reading that book, and I think that was the first time I realized I wasn't my thoughts, and it's like I recognized that there's a me, and then there's my thoughts, and I stopped like basically living on autopilot. And so for me, that was a really pivotal point. I feel like a lot of people have these pivotal points when that help them wake up. I think of that as my waking up moment, even though becoming more myself or learning about who I am, it continued after that.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to say, is that we have these pivotal points and we have these moments where we make that internal essence contact and recognition, but it doesn't stop. Like you're not like, oh, yay, we're all set. There seems to be layers of it, of remembering. There seems to be like, because I feel like really quickly, my experience, I feel like I was awake before I was born. So, but because I don't know what it was that, I don't know if this is like a retrofitted memory or if it can be explained psychologically, but I remember being aware of myself when I was learning to walk. And I don't know what that means. I don't know how it's possible, but I don't know if it is, but that's the way it feels like. I remember learning to walk, and I remember being aware of everything, like having an adult perception. And it's so weird because I have memories of that disembodied from the event. Like I remember seeing myself. I know everything in the kitchen. Where I was learning in my first steps and all the excitement around it. And I remember seeing it. And so I don't know what that part is, but I think the part that's more like my personality based waking up was just being gay, and being gay in a world where from the moment I was born, and maybe this has contributed to it, from the moment I was born for 18 years of my life, I was told by my mother and by society that I shouldn't exist, that I shouldn't live, that I didn't have a right to be here. So that kind of puts you in a space of self-exploration that normally isn't brought to your attention by people who can function in society without that. So it feels like that's kind of what contributed to my waking up over time. And I think a lot of people who are marginalized or from groups that are targeted like that are forced to be aware of themselves in a different way than most people are. And I think that it can go either way. It can really become a part of your oppression, or it can become a part of your awakening. And I took it the best way I could and built on it. But that's my experience. I have other ones, but I think that's about the layers that you keep waking up to. And we can talk about that more later. But I did want to say, Cypress has to wrap up and leave right at 4:00, so she'll be leaving soon. And so, Cypress, when you're ready to do that, just let everybody know, and we'll let you go. And I wanted to also move over to viewer Q&A, so we can get some of their comments. And then in overtime, we'll go into more of the essence context stuff with other people. So let's shift gears here, and Bobby, get ready to share some comments that you might have seen. And here we go. Oh. Yeah.
All right. So I did want to circle back to this comment. This was Zara KJ, and this is going back to like things that make us happy in the moment right now. And Troy, when you were talking about your VR creativity, Zara says, "So cool. It'll take a few years for VR headsets to become affordable here, where they live. I will join once it does."
Well, let me comment here really quickly. Where I'm expanding can also be accessed in 2D and accessed through laptops, computers. Right now, it's only like laptops. I mean, like Macs or PCs. But hopefully, it'll expand into anything like a console or a mobile device. But you can access it without a VR headset. I'll make sure everybody knows how to do that when we launch officially.
Maureen was responding to your presentation saying, "It's really cool. I've seen this done on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy is no doubt a sage, possibly super cast like you, Troy."
Oh, no. Probably.
It's good to see Kasha in here. And she was saying, "This is so speaking to me, Diane, when you were talking about all of your life stuff." Christian talking about music teaches and heals. Troy, when you were first sort of explaining and defining essence contact and essence recognition, Zara says, "This happened with my task companion and friend. We clicked immediately, and she said it felt like we knew each other when we met."
Yes.
Christian said, "The first time I had something like that, I was 15 or so. I was praying because God wasn't talking. I laid my head down."
No, it says was talking.
Oh, I know, but he corrects himself in the next step.
Oh, okay.
So I was praying because God wasn't talking. I laid my head down and woke up on the floor of a cave. I was helped up by me. Thousands of people with my face and different bodies. I kind of freaked out.
That's a good one.
Another time I watched an interview of an actor, Robert Pattinson, and I suddenly felt like I know who he is and what he is about in general.
Yeah, and it happens with celebrities. It's not something to dismiss. Like, if you have that and you can recognize it, you may not ever do anything with it. They're not going to become a best friend, but that's us.
Sorry. Looks like Christian and Mike were just responding to my early childhood perceptions of like church and sort of feeling like I was disconnected from all of that.
Wait, Bobby, if the siren's going by, my muting it is not going to help your end. So if you'll have to mute your end too.
Hi, Jeroen. Maureen says, "Wow, such an artisan's experiential way of working through understanding and comprehending structures or substructures, in this case, with the self."
What's that in reference to?
Me talking about my early, waking up experiences. I guess cutting off my arm and seeing the robot inside.
Interesting.
Karen says, "As a kid, I would loudly call out the hypocrisy of the Catholic Church, as well as the belief that it was all bullshit."
Karen in a church.
That's awesome, Karen.
Mike's here. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, Mastering Life's Journey said, "Oh, you're going back to this, Mike?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, by the way, just so you know, this is one of my first friends made in VR, specifically because of being in VR, who's also come to look into the Michael teachings because of our because of essence contact.
Mastering Life's Journey says, "I felt it when I was a young teen. I spent many hours in the wilderness. Also, I read books. I just get lost in them, and I feel myself in that life." Marigold says, "For me, my interest in philosophy, psychology, and Carl Jung's work and his book Memories, Dreams, Reflections paved the way for Michael to me and internal essence recognition." We talked about Carl Jung a couple weeks ago, I feel like.
Yeah.
Mr. Jung.
Yeah, Jung. Carl Jung. We love him.
Overall curiosity and systems. Oh, and then Mastering Life's Journey says that Marigold. That was probably the second part to my.
Oh yeah.
So that's pretty much it. We're caught up on everyone's Q&As. Not a lot of questions, just more comments from the group.
Okay. Well, Cypress, if you would like to get a head start, this would be a good transition point before we start new topics and stuff, so we can say a proper thank you and goodbye and wrap up the show, and then we'll go into overtime. So thank you all for sharing your experiences. We're going to stick around for overtime to go into essence contact between people, and also maybe we'll elaborate with some quotes from Michael on some of the other angles on essence contact. So get ready for that if you want to stick around. And Cypress is getting her hair did today.
I need a haircut. It's out of hand. Well, thank you guys for having me, even if it was short. can't wait to watch what happens after I leave on YouTube when I get back.
Love you.
I love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Your hair looks great the way it is too, by the way.
That's
you look
very
great all the
sweet,
time.
but
And
it
thank you for
doesn't.
coming to the panel today, Cypress. We missed Kate today, and you helped round it out, so I really appreciate that.
Anytime. I love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Oops. Sorry, Bobby. She removed herself. I went to remove her, and then everything shifted, and I removed you.
No feelings hurt. We going into overtime?
Yes. So thank you everybody for watching. We kind of, worked our way through that concept and only got about halfway through. So we're going to go into overtime. But if you want to know more about this, just do a search for essence recognition or essence contact on TLE. And there's a lot of stuff. A lot of people have asked about this in their personal sessions that they've shared there. And thank you to the panel, and thank you to the viewers. And we'll wrap up here, but stick around if you want to have more conversation. And we're back into overtime. So one of the next thing we wanted to talk about is, have you had any experiences of essence contact with others? And was it mutual, or was it a private and personal thing that you don't know if the other person experienced? So if anybody wants to share that from the viewers or from the panel, go ahead.
Well, I'll start.
Okay.
So I have a great, one of my soulmates, best friends for life. I met in university, and it was like instant recognition. It was effortless. It was like, when you are with that person, you feel like home. And she's amazing, and we just click in the moment, and you feel like safe because you know that this person and you are like kind of in the same page, and you don't need to like over explain stuff, or you just meet each other at the right time, and we sometimes we don't talk really often, just like once a year, but in the moment it feels like it was yesterday the last time we met.
Yeah.
So we can get back to the conversation and share our lives, and it feels amazing to have those kind of friendships, I think. Yeah, that's my experience. I just love her so much, and she loves me, and we are so cheesy with each other.
Well, that's one of the things that I feel helps define essence contact is there's this feeling of it's done. Like you you recognize them. There's that feeling of home. It's done. It doesn't matter if they fail
Yeah.
you. It doesn't matter if you don't see them. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you never see each other again.
Yes.
You recognize them, and it's done. Like there's nothing
Mhm.
more to discuss or debate about it.
Mhm.
There's nothing you need to do about it or
Mhm.
do with it. It's just this
Yeah.
remembering.
It's
I call it the remembering feeling.
yeah.
And then you just, whatever happens from there, but it's the
Mhm.
recognition of it is really vital, especially in a
Mhm.
lifetime.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I like that you were saying like you don't have to really talk, you just pick up where you left off. And I
Yeah.
think that's when essences recognize each other through our current bodies or personalities,
Mhm.
that's what happens. Like you just pick up the conversation where you left off
Mhm.
within the lifetime and across lifetime.
Yeah. Or dreams,
Yeah. Ooh.
Sometimes she visits my dreams. And yeah, I was like, oh, I think I dreamt of you. What happened there? Yeah, I was thinking of you. I'm like, oh.
That's really cool when you find timed correlations like that.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I feel like most of the people I've had romantic relationships with were like we had essence contact. Just kind of I hit it off with them immediately, and at least the maybe not like my first couple of relationships that were kind of awkward when I didn't those teenage early 20s relationships, but the later ones where I was like more myself and more in essence myself, and I could recognize other people more easily. I felt like those were essence recognition or essence contact. And also I feel like I tend to have a lot of essence recognition and contact with people on TLE, in particular when we meet in person, and it's like there's like this immediate comfort level and immediate like feeling like I've known them already.
That is very common among the people on TLE. You brought up a point that I have as a reference in my quotes here, and I want to see if I can find it. But Bobby, go ahead if you wanted to share something, because I will circle back to.
Yeah, I wanted to, earlier, Diane, you were talking about the East Coast gathering and all of our first times meeting each other, which was such a pivotal year for me as well. And I still remember meeting you and Yana and everyone for the first time.
I know, that was such a fun trip.
I loved that.
Was.
And that was also my first experience with a gathering for the Michael teachings too. So I was a little apprehensive and nervous and self-conscious going into that long weekend. But one of the best memories and experiences that came out of that for me was many people here know Artist Bo. And I think I'd probably had a couple just very brief intermittent conversations with her over the course of the weekend because, through Troy, like Troy would introduce me to artists, or so I might have like in passing just stopped and chatted, but I didn't really have any opportunity to connect with her. If y'all remember the last day of that first East Coast gathering, when remember everyone was all up in like created all this drama because someone saw a snake on the railing of the patio deck, and they were interpreting that as like some sign and some symbol. God. Like, look up, everyone, there's a snake.
I don't remember this.
There's a snake.
It was hilarious.
There's a snake sunbathing on the rail of the patio deck, and what does that mean? And I just and that was like at the end of like one of our little sessions, and so everyone was dispersing, and then I just happened to be out on the patio with an artist was out there, and we just instinctively like walked towards each other because she was just sort of soaking in the sun, and we just struck up a conversation. We first were talking about the snake and kind of how ridiculous that moment was, and it just organically went on for like 20 minutes. And normally I'm very shy and apprehensive when first meeting people, and we right then and there we bonded, and like we just have that connection to this day, and I just love and adore her. And it was just, that was truly probably a more recent example in my life of just, you recognized each other instantly, and you let your guards down, and we just connected and talked, and it just felt so natural. And she just felt like this home, this resting place for me. And That was like one of my final memories leaving that first East Coast gathering. And
I remember that moment, but I remember people getting mad at me because I was like, maybe it's a snake just lying in the sun because that's what snakes do.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, this is a sign.
Like Christian.
And I was like,
It means the snake likes warm spots.
right, Christian, high five. I was like, they were getting mad at me. I was like, you guys, I mean, I really love taking like omens from around you and reading them, but sometimes you got to be like, oh, maybe a thing is just a thing.
Yeah.
Snake is a snake.
Maybe it's a cold-blooded reptile just like warming up on the hot patio. Like,
Yeah.
That's what it was. Anyway, so my moment with artists, that was an example for me of like that essence contact and essence recognition.
Am I next? Do I have any examples?
You or Connor?
Connor, yes.
Oh, yeah, I've experienced it. Most of my close friends, I'd say. There's definitely a familiarity.
Like upon first meeting?
Yeah. Even the relationship between me and Shivery, which recently ended, that when it started, we fell in love within a week or two. We remembered each other, and if that wasn't essence recognition, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
It was exhausting, quite frankly.
Well, that was probably it. Other things going on top of it. And this is a good example. Now, things have taken a turn. Do you think that has made you lose the sense of essence recognition, or is it even more pronounced when something like that happens?
I'd say the second one.
Okay. It's tough. Well, here's some quotes, and I thought first of all, is there any quotes or any comments from the viewers that we can share?
Yeah,
first?
Sure. We've got.
Then I'm going to read some quotes and see what we think of them.
Zara KJ said, "One of my uncles and his children feel like home to me. They're like my second family." Kasha was going back to when you were describing the remembering, Troy, and she says, "I love that, Troy. The remembering feeling is a perfect way to describe essence connection."
I was using that phrase as a kid. When I would talk to people that I remembered, I would always tell them, "I remember you," and I tried to explain it like, "Don't you have that remembering feeling?" And there was one person who in second grade recognized what I was talking about. And then we got this idea that we'd become blood brother and sister. And we sat on the playground in the back away from everybody trying to cut our wrists to become blood brother and sisters. And we weren't doing a good job. And it was just horrible. And we were all scratched up and we never did do a good job. But we remembered each other.
Marigold says, "It can be hard when you recognize, but the other person doesn't."
Mm-hmm. I feel like that happens more often with people outside of the Michael community, and you have that recognition moment, and then they're like, "What the hell just happened?" and they back away.
Yeah.
Which is why within the Michael community, like at the TLE gatherings, as Kasha's saying, it's just one big essence contact orgy. And Mike is feeling love. Mike says, "The only feeling I have right now is I feel that the TLE group understands me better than others, as well as I don't feel judged."
Oh, that's really nice to know.
And Rose to say,
"Welcome to the community, Michael.
You're part of the family." Zara says,
I missed that. What was the last one?
Rose
that
just
was
saying,
from Rose.
"Yeah, you're part of the family."
Aw.
Zara says, "I have this online friend where we just talk after having disappeared for a year and it never feels weird." That's kind of like what Ro was saying with her friend.
Yeah. I want to read this quote based on something somebody said. Let's see if there's any relevance. "Self-awareness is a great asset when true intimacy is sought, because for the comprehension of the experience lessens the fright of the experience, so that the tendency to flee is much reduced. For it is often the case when true essence contact has occurred that one or both fragments will succumb to the insistence of chief feature and reject that relationship, averting the danger of greater intimacy or putting such demands on the relationship that it cannot sustain intimacy. So a lot of times, like Diane was saying, when people do come across an experience like this, they may really like it, but it becomes a lot. And they will suddenly sabotage it or in some way push it away or just ignore it altogether because
or they like project all romantic imprinting on it.
Which leads to the next part, which says, let us add here that for many fragments, sexual activity as a means to avoid actual intimacy, substituting the physical contact for essence contact. We do not limit this to sex for hire, orgiastic events, one-night stands, or similar physical contacts, and we do not rule out the possibility of essence contact during such physical arrangements. It is, in fact, more common in continuing sexual relationships, such as, but not limited to, marriage, for the risk of intimacy is much greater when two fragments have time to evolve together, and therefore the temptation to establish a nice, safe sexual routine is very great and largely gets rid of the specter of true intimacy. That is so fascinating to me. Once true intimacy has occurred between fragments, there is a subtle change in the nature of the relationship, not always a beneficial one. When fragments are driven to explain what happened, and in so doing deny it, the change in the relationship is the result of the perception of essence. In other words, on many levels, each fragment is truly aware of who the other fragment is. And people run from that. They don't want to be seen that closely. It's terrifying.
It can be terrifying. Absolutely.
And so people turn to sex or, they get married for safe sexual routines that just keep them like, it's so funny that the very thing that's supposed to bond and unite people is used to avoid it. And I see that in a lot of heterosexual relationships, a lot of marriages that have just been commonplace for so long. It's just a sanctuary to hide from yourself. But I thought that was really interesting to bring up because that's such an easy and accessible way to avoid essence contact.
Oh, that was fascinating info to share. Thanks, Troy.
I'll share a couple more before we go, but these quotes I'm reading now are from original channeling from Sarah Chambers. They are not from my channeling. I've mixed them up today with the first part of our show was all from my channeling, but this second part I'm sharing from old transcripts from Sarah Chambers.
Do you want me to share a few more viewer comments?
Definitely.
Okay. Mike says, I did feel something when I met Troy in your room in VR, like they weren't strangers, but this was before I had the awaken moment, so I wasn't thinking about it.
Ooh. Now, Mike, you told me that was a tingly feeling. I'm just kidding. Kidding.
Mastering Life Story says, I have a couple people that I met that we feel close and have past lives together. Karen says, I didn't feel soul recognition until I met other Michael students. Then I understood what a soul family is, and it makes her feel so ancient. Did she say it makes her feel so ancient? Well, it feels so, I guess once you realize maybe how long you've been living your multiple lives, that you realize.
Well,
I thought the concept of a soul family feels so ancient.
Yeah, like it feels like you have an ancient connection. Yeah.
Kristen says, when I was 4 or 5, Mom saw me playing by myself and asked who I was playing with. I said my friend Noel. A few weeks later, she kind of was shocked that I had a physical friend called Noel. I knew him. My wife
That's
doesn't
really
let
cool.
me hide from myself. She helps me to confront things that I didn't for years.
Oh, that's a really good relationship, and it's usually outside of sex that happens. That's the way Bobby is for me too. Thanks.
Marigold, this is, I think, the Sarah Chambers stuff you were just saying, Troy. I really like this channeling. It reminds me of yours, Troy.
Oh, she's like the standard, the gold standard for channeling. That's a very high compliment. Thank you.
Maureen says, love does not come with feelings. It is a state of being. It is fairly neutral. This is why when one is with someone chosen as a mate for a long time, it can seem as if the love has faded when in fact the love is finally realized.
Oh, that made my little heart. Oh. So I wanted to share this quote too, because essence contact and essence recognition isn't just a fun thing to talk about and experience. It is the only way we truly evolve, because of how the process of recognizing essence beyond everything kind of is a way of you just sort of saying, oh, I'm an ancient being learning. And so when you remember that part of you, everything you're learning gets integrated. And when you do that during the lifetime, it helps the lifetime in all kinds of ways. And a lot of people don't do it until between lifetimes because of all the things we said already that they use to avoid that kind of intimacy with themselves or others. But this quote here is about how essence contact helps all levels of life. Those of you who are able to achieve validation of essence contact may find that the general level of perceptions lose a little of the pervasive distortions of the chief feature. Those who choose to pursue essence contact without expectations can reach the positive poles of overleaves more consistently. For essence functions only in the positive poles of the overleaves. When the negative poles are operative, then fear and chief feature prevail. The lies of fear serve to block recognition and validation in the life, not only of essence contact, but of all other forms of growth as well. So just making it a practice in seeing, even if it's not like a random thing that happens, you can't make it happen and you can't like expect it to happen, but inviting it to happen more often helps you in a lot of different ways of processing life that you might not have even thought about. So it's always good to like at least try to look at another person and recognize them, even if it doesn't happen like automatically. Recognize them as another essence. That's hard to do for racists, sexists, homophobes, and things like that. And I struggle with that kind of like, oh, we got to recognize the innocence in them and the validity of their soul and their growth. I feel like I'm able to do that and still hate them. And still hold them accountable and still hold them accountable. Like I'm able to do that without, because I feel like if I don't do that, I lose a part of myself. If I'm not able to recognize the validity of them as an evolving soul in some way, just fucking up this time. If I lose that, I've lost a part of myself. But I also, it's a valid thing to also take a stand against. And so I've always hated it when people think that it's one or the other. Like there's a way to do both. To recognize that, oh, these anti-vaxxers, they're just souls learning. But they're also stupid assholes. What?
We've all been there, in past lives.
In some ways, I don't know what our version of that would be, but yeah, probably. Yeah. But that doesn't help either, because that's the whole point. Like we were there. Oh, let's take what we learned and help make things better now. Because probably when we did something like that, no one had the skill, the technology, the knowledge, the resources, the support circles to take a stand against our stupidity. So now we do, and we should do something. So anyway, I don't think there's any conflict between saying, oh, I can recognize the soul in another person who's an asshole.
What you were just reading, though, if I understood that correctly, basically, if you are sort of living or in the moment you're in the negative pole, it really makes it near impossible for you to have essence contact or essence recognition.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can only really have essence contact in the positive poles, because the positive poles of your essence means that you are basically, your essence is present. Your essence is always there, supposedly. But in the negative pole, you've restricted everything down to just your viewpoint as a personality.
And fear and chief features are guiding you.
Not always, but they are it can be. Yeah, it can become a part of it. It's like you're basically restricting things, your tunnel vision, and sometimes it's fear-based, sometimes it's just defensive. But it's definitely like a tunnel, like you've blocked everything out but what you can see as yourself. But when in the positive poles, you're kind of like allow room for your fears, you allow room for your defenses, but you're also able to see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is always coming because you're connecting to your essence. And when you connect to your essence, it helps you connect to other essences.
Maureen was saying, this practical embrace of this sensitivity is key to your effective use of knowledge and intuition. This applies to essence recognition and contact.
Is that a quote? Oh, the last comment was for me.
Oh, I missed the first one.
Okay.
Sorry. Michael said this to me about an experience. It is good work that you have trusted these experiences to an extent that is intimately meaningful without having them fall into delusion grandeur. This practical embrace of the sensitivity is key to your effective use of knowledge and intuition.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That applies to essence recognition and contact. Yeah.
There was a lot packed in there.
Well, if there are no more comments coming in, I think we can wrap up for today, everybody. Thank you for another great show. Does the panel have anything else they'd like to add before we go?
I just want to bring in Young because she, I think this might be her first time joining us, and this was her first comment.
Okay.
But she says, maybe the bigots are false personalities driving.
Well, yeah, they are. Definitely. So, yeah. But, yeah. They still have souls somewhere in there. Somewhere. They still have an essence.
Oh,
they still have
the kitty pig.
What?
The kitty pig.
Yeah, I wanted to say something to Connor. Was that your essence contact?
Oh.
I think I was having contact with Milo over here.
Oh.
I did not put him up here. He came up here.
I saw. It was beautiful.
He's
beautiful.
like a little lion.
Yes.
He is. Majestic.
Yay! Well, thank you all for joining. Thanks for supporting the show, and thanks for coming back every week. And if you're new here, I hope you come back month.
Every month.
I hope you come back next month. And this will be posted as a live. I was a public link to the channel for you to share or to watch again and comment on. And if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love you. And that way you'll get an alert when we go live in the future. All right. So everybody have a good day. We're going to go now. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye.